The U.S. House of Representatives has opened an impeachment inquiry into Donald Trump. It is based on a conversation that U.S. President Donald Trump had on the phone with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Now, folks, I have a particularly unique view of this impeachment inquiry that has just been opening up. So, the issue with Donald Trump's phone call with the Ukrainian head of state in July, Joe Biden, the former vice president of the United States, Joe Biden's son Hunter Biden, and a prosecutor getting fired in the Ukraine. I have been reporting about this for a long time. I have been talking about Hunter Biden and Burisma Holdings for years. Folks, Joe Biden has a son named Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden was kicked out of the Navy for using cocaine. Hunter Biden conveniently started making loads and loads of money off of Ukraine's natural gas after the coup in 2014, right? After the leader of Ukraine was toppled, after the pro-Western government seized power in the aftermath of the chaos of the Euromaidan protests backed and supported by the United States, after Kiev was seized by the extremists and fanatics from the western regions of Ukraine that hate Russia. When that happened, it just so happened that the person who was vice president of the United States at the time managed to get their son, Hunter Biden, to maneuver his way into a really good natural gas deal. The largest non-governmental natural gas company in Ukraine is called Burisma Holdings. It smells bad. Looks a lot like corruption to me, right? The United States enables the Ukrainian government to be overthrown, backs the forces that are overthrowing the government, the new regime comes in, and it just so happens to give the natural gas deal to the son of the vice president of the United States at the time. That reeks of corruption. Should reek of corruption to anyone. Next, we now have video of Joe Biden bragging that he threatened to not give aid to Ukraine unless they fired a certain prosecutor in Ukraine. There was a prosecutor, and Joe Biden bragged when speaking before the Council on Foreign Relations. I did stories on this at the time, long before this phone call became public knowledge, long before any of this. I did stories about the fact that Joe Biden was speaking at the Council on Foreign Relations and bragged that he got a Ukrainian prosecutor fired. And this prosecutor, this general prosecutor of Ukraine that Joe Biden brags about having gotten fired, I pointed out to my audience, and you can watch the videos, they're still up on the YouTube channel, that this prosecutor just happened to be investigating Burisma Holdings, the company that Joe Biden's son maneuvered into having a big share in. It looked pretty bad that the President of the United States was threatening and using his position as vice president. The vice president of the United States was using his position as vice president to get someone fired in Ukraine, someone who might be of a bit of a danger to his son's company. This all reeks of corruption, of just classic corruption. Vice president of the United States maneuvers internationally, gets people into power who then do a favor for his son. Then he also maneuvers once again and gets a prosecutor fired who's investigating corruption in his son's company. It all looks bad to me. However, throughout all of this, throughout everything that's broken about Trump mentioning this on the phone call on July 25th with Zelensky, Trump mentioned, and he did ask for information about Biden, and that's not an upstanding act. You don't use your position as the president of the United States to try and get dirt on your political opponent. Not acceptable. Not giving Trump a pass on that at all. Not acceptable behavior. But what I've noticed is in mainstream media, despite the fact that it's now a scandal, that an impeachment inquiry has been opened into Donald Trump for mentioning Joe Biden's nefarious activities, Joe Biden's son's nefarious activities in Ukraine, The mainstream media still avoids talking about the initial issue. After Trump gave his press conference at the United Nations on Tuesday, I couldn't believe it. I was watching CNN, and they said that they were this was a conspiracy theory. They said Trump is promoting conspiracy theories about Biden. On Bill Maher's show, Real Time on HBO, he referenced Joe Biden conspiracy theories. There's another guest who was on CNN who announced that it was a torrent of lies against Joe Biden. What are they maintaining as false? I have done stories on this. Burisma Holdings is a real company. Is it not a real company? Is Hunter Biden not invested in Burisma Holdings? Is Hunter Biden not the son of Joe Biden? Did Joe Biden not brag about getting the prosecutor fired? Was that prosecutor not investigating Burisma Holdings? I'm looking for the part that you say is a conspiracy theory. Where is it? I mean, I've heard everyone says that what Trump mentioned on the phone call to Zelensky was a conspiracy theory. What are they maintaining is not accurate. They don't even bother to go there. Don't look into it. What that means is they're basically saying, turn your brain off here. You start hearing Joe Biden, Ukraine. No, turn your brain off. That's a conspiracy theory. That's like the moon landing. Turn your brain off. And that's how a lot of people in the United States work. Mainstream people in the United States. That's how their minds work. They have a list of people that are no good. They have a list of people that are no good. Conspiracy theorists, racists, sexists, communists, fascists, and they have a list of people that are no good. And if you can declare any person who says something to be one of these things, then the conversation ends. And it's weird. I'm not a fan of racism at all. But have racist people said true things in the past? Not about other races, but have they said true statements in general? If a racist walks down the street and says, hey, the sky is blue, does the sky therefore become green because racists are racist? No. Right? Someone can be a conspiracy theorist, someone can be a racist, someone can be a fascist, someone can be a communist, someone can be all kinds of things and still say true things. But the way American political discourse among the mainstream liberal establishment has developed is there is this list, there is a big and growing list of people, there's a label that you put on them. And therefore, no matter what they say, you can't listen to it. So now, the notion that Joe Biden and Joe Biden's son may have had inappropriate, corrupt dealings in Ukraine is a conspiracy theory. And if you repeat it, you are a conspiracy theorist. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Facts do not matter. I have never seen anything like this. I'm watching CNN, and CNN is declaring factual statements the president makes about Joe Biden, not defending Trump. Trump can be a liar, Trump can be awful, Trump can be, but they just say it's conspiracy theories. And that's been the response. I don't know how you can cover Trump being impeached or facing an impeachment inquiry right now over talking about Joe Biden and not mention what he talked about with Joe Biden. I mean, this is beyond me. This is like, a guy goes to rob a bank, and they don't mention the name of the bank at the trial. Every time the name of the bank. Yes, our defendant is accused of robbing. We don't mention the name of the bank. Order, do not speak. The judge, it's like, how do you talk about this? Trump did something unethical and possibly illegal. I mean, he was out of bounds. Not defending Trump on this one. You don't use your office as president. You don't use official state-to-state phone calls to try and get dirt on your opponent. Not acceptable behavior. But, how do you not mention what it was that he was inappropriate about? I mean, again, someone's on trial for murder, right? Joe Bob is on trial for murder. The defense attorney gets up and says, well, I maintain that my client did not kill. And the judge, bang, bang, bang. We're not going to mention who he's accused of killing. We're just going to talk about him being on trial for murder. There is a key fact in the Trump impeachment inquiry that the mainstream media is doing leaps and backflips and bending over backwards not to talk about. Am I the only person who's a little bit bothered by this? Trump is accused of inappropriately mentioning something in a phone call. And we are not allowed to talk about what it is that he inappropriately mentioned. Am I losing it here? I'm going to drink some more of this beverage that will not be named. I don't want to get more fired up about this than I am, but I mean, do you see what I'm saying here? This is like a criminal investigation where you can't actually mention the crime. I'm like blown away. And every time he mentioned Joe Biden conspiracy theories, you know, a whole bunch of torrent of lies. And it's like, but there's stuff here. Facts. Facts, folks. Do facts matter?